Hello dear farmers, and to everyone watching this video, welcome back to your favorite farming channel, Farming with the CEO, where we say farming is the way to go. As you bear in mind, this is a dry season where there is scarcity of food supply in our markets. And today I came across one of the young farmers by the name Dennis, who is a tomato farmer, and he shall be taking us through the tomato farming process. And before you watch this video, don't forget to click on the subscription button and turn on the notification bell for more videos. I hope you enjoy the show till the end. There are some few farmers who want to engage in tomato farming. What are the ideal conditions that you can advise the farmers to use before they engage in the activity?
So my advice to the farmers is that to start up this business, first you must have the presence of land to plant your produce. The other one, you must have some capital to fund the project, and the land should have good quality soils in order to support the tomato growing, and also you must have the presence of water, and you must have done proper market research for where you take your produce after it's grown.
What are some of the management practices that are carried out in a tomato farm?
In tomato farming, there are a number of management practices. For one is watering. Watering is necessary for growing of tomatoes. That is if you are planting off season when there are no rains. Second is spacing. As for me, I use 1.5 to 2 feet spacing along the rows. So the third one is weeding. Weeding is necessary to prevent competition of weeds with plants. The fourth one is thinning and also gapping. Then the final one is harvesting. Yeah. Then as you can see, we have used these strings. These are called string trails. This prevent the tomato fruits from coming into contact with the ground, as when they come into contact with the ground, they predispose them to some of the diseases that attack tomatoes. Yeah.
What are some of the common diseases and pests that affect the tomatoes, and how do you control them?
So as for tomatoes, majorly the pests that I have come into contact with are the aphids, the mites, and also the American bollworm. So as for me, for the aphids and the mites, I use a certain pesticide that I spray using the knapsack sprayer. And for diseases, there are a number of diseases. The first one is fungal disease, which is called the red blight and the hairy blight. And I use a fungicide by the name Ridomil Gold, Mistress, and a number of other fungicides. And there is also the American bollworm. The American bollworm is a worm that comes at the late or the near stage of harvesting the tomatoes. This bollworm, when it comes to in contact with the tomatoes, it bore holes on the tomato fruits, and that tomato cannot be sold and cannot be eaten. So for that, I use also pesticide to control it just before harvesting. As I talked before about the suspension of these tomatoes using these strings, it's because of this disease, which is predisposed by the tomato coming in contact with the soil as it starts to rot. So this is an example of that disease that is predisposed by when the tomatoes come into contact with the soil. Yeah.
What are some of the tips that can be used to increase on tomato yield?
So in order to increase yields of tomatoes, there are a number of factors that one need to keep into consideration. The first one is regular watering of the tomato plants. The other one is timely weeding, and also application of fertilizers and manure is also necessary, and among other factors that can help one increase yields. Yeah.
What kind of tomato variety have you used in your farm? Because as you can see, this period is a dry season and you have a bumper harvest.
So as for me, I have opted to plant the Rio Grande species of tomatoes, bearing in mind the Rio Grande is expensive, but it has some good products. And as you know, cheap is expensive. But there are other products, for example, the money maker, the tomato called J, amongst others. So as for me, Rio Grande is the best.
How long does a tomato plant take to reach maturity stage?
First of all, introduction of tomatoes starts all the way from the nursery bed. In the nursery bed, we have a 1 month span that it takes for it to grow in the nursery bed. Then when it comes to the seed bed, approximately 60 to 90 days, with good management, the tomato plant will be ready for marketing. Yeah.
What method do you use to harvest your tomatoes?
Naturally, tomatoes are harvested using the plucking method, whereby when tomatoes are ready to be harvested, they turn reddish. So you just pluck off the red tomato from the tomato plant.
How do you harvest your tomatoes?
Due to perishability of the tomatoes, I harvest my tomatoes once they turn greenish yellow, and this allows them, by the time they reach to the market, they will be still fresh. They will be fresh produce. Yeah. And I harvest them by plucking off. This whereby once it turns that color, you just pluck it off the main tomato plant.
I know there are some farmers who are being frustrated by the marketing of tomatoes. Where do you find your market for your tomatoes?
As for me, market is not a major challenge, as I have some buyers who come for this produce in the farm. So as for me, market is not a major problem in relation with the other farmers. Yeah.
Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Let's meet in the next episode, and don't forget to click the subscription button to turn on the notification bell, and mainly don't forget to share with other farmers. And to the youths around, remember, farming pays, and farming is the way to go.